Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm your host, Veteran Mountain Man, and welcome to another Spiritual Thursday. So I wanted to take a swing at this. This is Vice here, and Vice has decided that racists are threatening to take over paganism. Now, their whole premise here is that certain aspects of paganism lend to ethno-nationality and ethno-states. And they actually call out a group, or a set of groups here, Augustus Sol Invictus, which they claim is an alt-right group that helped with the Charlottesville Statement and Richard Spencer, as well as the Wolves of Vinland, and a few other places. Truth is, most of these places are not very functional. They even talk about the self-proclaimed Viking, Jeremy Christian. He actually is not a white supremacist. He was yelling that because of Trump supporters, Muslims were going to be killed in the streets and then stabbed the people. This guy was crazy. He is so freaking bug nuts that people can't actually get him prosecuted here in Oregon. Then they go on to talk about the organizations Heathens United Against Racism and the Astura community, who have created their declaration and are mandating that racism be taken out of paganism. Well, the truth is that most paganism is not racist. A lot of paganism is nationalistic. A lot of paganism is communityistic. A lot of paganism is individualistic. And they're trying to foist this concept that paganists have to be basically anarcho-communists, is what this whole article is about. It's actually kind of disturbing that they seem to think that that's how it has to be. They even go into how these different groups are forcing this declaration and spreading it worldwide. The truth is, the far right and the far left are trying to use paganism as a weapon to attract the youth. And for those of you who are young individuals listening to this podcast, I'm going to tell you this right now. Don't let them. Don't buy into it. Question everything they tell you. Question what your mentors tell you. Question what your leaders tell you. Go and look it up yourself. Look at it from multiple sources. The whole concept of paganism is to create an innate, individualistic, spiritual connection to the world around you. Either through the divine that you see as your pantheon, through meditation and connection with nature, through the magics that you work. All of it is to bring you closer to nature. Don't accept anybody else's interpretation of nature. Don't accept what other people tell you nature has to be. Go and determine that on your own. Because that's what real pagans do. That is the whole point of our passion and our philosophy. It is not to be told how to think and how to feel and how to understand. It is to go and experience and live and become and understand. And if you're not taking those steps, then you truly don't understand what you're doing, and you should probably spend some more time in study and seeking that understanding. Because if you think that just because a couple of groups claim that they're white nationalist and also claim to be pagan, or a couple of groups claim that they're Vikings, or they claim that they're heathens, or they claim that they're witches, and that they're X, Y, or Z, that you have to be that way, you've lost the concept. The whole point of this kind of spiritualism is to release from the normal concept of religion and go through self-discovery. And I really wish that many of the other world's religions would encourage this more, instead of their more encouragement to rigid dogma. They even descend into the discussions about the 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s and the Gardnerian and Satanistic movements. and how they were so progressive. Well, truth be told, any group that claims that they are white supremacist, because they're talking about the Astarans and the Odinists are thriving in U.S. prisons, that's because the Nazis and the neo-Nazis have this fascination with Norse mythology. And it goes back to Goebbels and the Nazi Reich. Okay, he had a fascination with Norse mythology and believed that he would create a new order of Norse knights through the perfect being. This is really insane leftist thinking here, people, because Goebbels was way out there. He thought that he could bring about the perfect utopian society through selective breeding and indoctrination and a new religion. I mean, he was a kook. And you're basically giving his ideas more credence by talking about these people who in prisons are joining gangs and claiming that they're pagan. This is a pig and a poke. Well, I'm going to include the link to this article as well as a link to the archive, because a good friend of mine, Styx Hexenhammer, created an archive of this and actually covered this in a different light. And I would like you all to go and read the article. It truly is shocking and disturbing that people actually believe this and that Vice claims that they are a news agency. I'm also going to include this video on unapologeticpagan.com and all of my other social media this week, and I would like you to send it to any of your friends who think that paganism is supporting white supremacy. Get them to actually read this. Don't just read the headline. Actually go through and read the logic in the article, because it's utterly, utterly shameful. Trying to associate prison gangs and Nazi sentiments and neo-skinheads as pagans just because they call themselves X, Y, or Z is relatively foolish. And to be fair, the fact that the left rejects Christianity in favor of Islam and in favor of other types of out there leftist kooky ideas, and the fact that they are attacking their own, because they seem to think that these neo-Nazis and these extreme alt-rightists are not actually part of the left. They just can't seem to see it. And then they try to blame all of us that are just normal, leave us alone, individualists who are part of the pagan community. It's just shameful. Well, thank you all again for joining me, and I hope you have yourself a beautiful Thursday.